What's up, my peoples? It's almost 10 o'clock where I am living in the day. And we're going to talk about a fight that happened a while ago. And I remember I watched it and I saw it completely differently to how I see it today. And what makes the difference in watching a fight is the commentary of a fight. Those commentators, boy. I watched that fight. Antonio Tarver was one of the guys who's commenting. And a guy from Spike, it was on Spike. And man, I thought HBO was bad. But these guys, man, these guys continuously, they're biased. The commentary was so terribly biased in favor of Errol Spence. You'd swear it's a one-sided battle. It was extremely competitive. Now, how many of you guys actually saw the fight? Errol Spence versus Chris Van Herdeen. Errol Spence Jr. versus Van Herdeen. How many of you guys watched it? You guys know who Chris Van Herdeen is, first of all. South African boxer. Um, Known for his commentary on Conor McGregor and him sparring Conor McGregor. I don't know if you guys. Okay. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it don't matter. It don't really matter. So, as you can see from my title, it's did Errol Spence actually stop Chris Van Herdeen? All right. So let's talk about it. If you're here, you like what you see, do me a favor and smash that like button. In addition, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to it. In addition, if you want to donate to this channel, you can. It's still via MoneyGram and Western Union for now. But, and I can give you the details, but, very soon, you'll just be able to just smash a button or just go to a certain place and pay. All right? So don't worry. It's coming. I know I've been saying that for a while, but it's coming. So, those of you who have not watched that fight, the first thing I would advise you to do is go watch it with your two eyes. The second thing I tell you to do is please take what these commentators are saying with a pinch of salt, because they're only watching one fighter. They're not watching both. Okay? Why I say this is because I asked the question for those of you, first of all, for those of you who have seen the fight, did Errol Spence stop Chris Van Herdeen? Don't tell me, don't just give me an answer just like that. I want you to think about what I'm saying, because things are not always what they seem. So, what do you guys think? Now this is the problem with BoxRec. BoxRec will give you a result. It is factual because it's a result. You know, it's gonna be what it is. That's how it was. That's how it was said. That's how it'll be. But if you actually watch the fight, not listening to what the commentators are doing, because they're just watching one fighter, they're not watching both fighters. If you actually watch the fight, you will be able to judge and decide what the fuck was actually going on in that fight. Sorry about the F-bomb. I was trying to stay away from that. What actually was happening in that fight? Shout out to each and every one of you who's joined this live stream. I see there were two of you. I don't know, there's one now. But I know there'll be more, because I watch my videos and I see people come and watch my videos. And a lot of people really actually are a fan of this channel, which is really cool. I got past 1,000 subscribers. I don't know how many subscribers I have right now. But a lot of people told me they really like my analysis and commentary on boxing. And then I have videos that cross 40,000 views and so on. So I know for a fact that people watch my channel and people of reputation. In fact, Manny Pacquiao has actually watched this channel, which is crazy, you know. So, and somebody was saying, me and Manny, thank you. Or somebody from Manny Pacquiao's team, at least, was watching this channel. So I know there are people out there who have, of good reputation who've been watching this channel. So that's why I keep on doing my videos. I don't really care what anybody else thinks. I'm gonna do my videos, and I'm also gonna monetize this channel, and I'm gonna make some money off this channel, and only because I can. And this is the age in which you can do it, so I'm gonna do that. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to understand you have to watch what you see, not what somebody tells you. And I remember watching that fight, and I was listening to commentators, and I wasn't really paying attention to what was actually going on in that ring. I wasn't. And I was just following the narrative, and I just agreed with the outcome. But if you do actually watch what's actually going on in that ring, it's different. It's different. I started getting pretty angry with the commentators. I was like, man, just shut. I was cussing. I was saying, shut the F up, I was telling the commentators, shut the F up. Because while they were speaking, Chris Van Herdeen was doing a lot of good work to the body of Errol Spence and pushing him back to the ropes. And these guys were so fucking biased, and they know what they were seeing. These guys were so fucking biased. They decided to say, oh, he was just trying to do something with Errol. No. In fact, a little later on in the fight, I'm gonna tell you what I saw. Now you guys can go back and watch the fight and tell me what you saw. Errol dropped his fucking mouthpiece. This fight went 8 rounds. He dropped his mouthpiece. Chris Van Herdeen hit him with a body shot. I thought Chris Van Herdeen was getting weaker. He wasn't getting weaker. He was blocking most of Errol's punches. He got hit flush once or twice. But he was blocking most of Errol's punches. Errol was teeing off on him on the ropes, but his elbows were blocking shots. And his forearms, he really protects his body really well, Chris Van Herdeen. All right? However, the fight was, Errol was winning round after round after round, and then Chris Van Herdeen was penalized for his mouth guard coming out of his mouth because Errol punched it out of his mouth. Sadly, he got penalized by the referee. Everything was going against Chris Van Herdeen. When you're the B side, man, you just fudder. So they don't care, And he was treated like a B side kind of guy. And he picked up and he was landing body punches to Errol. When Errol landed a really good crisp liver shot, Chris Van Herdeen come back with a shot. And they were trading shots in that center of the ring. And Chris Van Herdeen obviously was the stronger of the two, because he kept on, when he was ready, bullying Errol to the ropes. Sometimes he tried to box Errol, depending. And then Errol caught him with a really beautiful shot to the liver and put him down. But I think the first shot, Chris Van Herdeen was bending down, and Errol caught him, and he went down. And he went down with that shot. It wasn't a crisp, really good flush headshot, but he really took it, and he just went down. He took a break. Because, guys be bluffing. It's poker face they have, And then Chris Van Herdeen got back up. He was dropped with a liver shot in that same round. But he made it out of the round. Even though he was dropping the liver shot, he didn't move like if he was hurt. He got back up and started banging again with Errol. And those motherfuckers were banging. And then in the 8th round, he was banging with Errol. Errol dropped his mouthpiece because Errol didn't believe he was in a fucking fight. And it was on. And Chris Van Herdeen, Errol got him to the ropes, right? Was throwing a whole set of shots, so Chris Van Herdeen covered up. And Errol got him to the ropes, and Chris Van Herdeen was covering up when the referee just stopped the fight. That's how the fight was stopped. He just stopped the fucking fight. And Chris Van Herdeen was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he went and he applauded Errol and stuff. But really and truly, that fight was getting fucking interesting. And they stopped the fight. They stopped it. It looked like it was going to turn into a fight. And Chris Van Herdeen looked like the stronger of the two. He wasn't as sharp. Errol was sharper. But he was the stronger of the two, I think. The bigger guy in there. Pity, because I would have liked to see how this fight, because Chris Van Herdeen was very game. He wasn't winning rounds, but he was getting, it's kind of like Gabe Rosado versus Solanke. It was something like that, where as the fight progressed, Chris Van Herdeen, who had taken Errol's best shots, was now looking like he was starting to come on. And so that was the interesting thing. And sometimes these fucking referees, man, because their referee was fucking biased all the way through. Okay, he penalized Chris Van Herdeen for Errol knocking the mouthpiece out of his mouth. He didn't deliberately spit out the mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? And you penalize the guy a point for that. And then when Errol's mouthpiece falls out, you ain't doing shit. You know, he just washed it off, gave it back to Errol. And I'm like, this is not cool. This is not cool at all. This dude is fighting Errol and the referee, and he doesn't even give a damn. Chris Van Herdeen was just going. He was starting to rip it. I'm not saying he wasn't feeling Errol's punches. He sucked it up and he was just fighting, and I loved it. I loved it. Chris Van Herdeen was a real warrior, you know. And I thought about that, you know, because Errol started swelling up his eye. I think it was his left eye starting to swell up, and he was guarding it. But you know, they were hoping that Errol would stop him. You can listen to the commentary. They're expecting and anticipating Errol to stop him. And so they're just talking a host of this shit and ignoring Chris Van Herdeen's work. And I was just hoping that they would have let the fight just proceed. And I was looking to see where Errol actually did stop him, if he did stop him. And that was not the case. He did not stop him. But officially, that's the record. So you have to go with fact, which is that he was officially stopped. But that fucking referee, man. He fucked up the whole fight. You know. But it is what it is. That's boxing. You know, that's boxing. Chris Van Herdeen was his coach. His coach told him, stay in the center of the ring. Don't stay on the ropes. Because he kind of suspected that something like that might happen if he was on the ropes. You know, just letting Errol wail on him. Even though he's protecting himself, kind of doing a rope-a-dope kind of thing. Even so, you know, the referee just looking for a reason to stop the fight right now. So it was what it was. But that's boxing for you. You know, sometimes the guy is really game and he's actually really, really fighting. He really is doing something. And referees just fucking stop the fight because the favorite's supposed to win anyway. You know. And especially if you're losing round after round after round, I guess the referee might stop the fight because he thinks you have no chance of winning. But in this case, Chris Van Herdeen was backing up Errol and he was hurting him. So at least you should have given him a chance to see if he could have stopped Errol, or if the momentum of the fight could have just suddenly changed, right? We saw what happened with Gabriel Rosado versus Solanke. Solanke was beating his ass, right? Come 10th, 11th, 11th, 12th round, the fight completely changed around, and Gabriel Rosado was about to knock out Solanke. He was about to knock him out. He was going to knock him out. If he left that fight a little longer, he would have knocked him out. You know, and that's just the way our boxing is. Boxing's an interesting sport. And so, but I looked at it and I said, man, I'm going to talk about this fight because I just watched the fight and I was like, unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, they didn't give Van Herdeen a chance to show what he could have done. You know, but that's boxing for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that also makes you want to go and actually look at the fight because, you know, I'm not saying that Errol don't stop people and ultimately he doesn't break people down, but people making it out as if he's this puncher type. He's not a puncher type. First of all, he goes to the body. The other thing is that Errol, there are a lot of guys that took his punches, you know, and there are a lot of guys that started coming back. What happens when a guy can take your punches and he fires back and he's totally game? What do you do then? See, Floyd Mayweather, for all you people out there, you know, who think, because Floyd made it look simple. Floyd has so much fucking skill that when he couldn't stop your ass or you was game and you could take his punches, he had enough boxing skill and boxing IQ to be able not to get hit by you and still to fight you, still laying punches on you. Maybe his punches don't stop you, but he try and slowly break you down. Like if it was a 15 rounder, I think Floyd would have gotten a couple guys out of there, right? But at the end of the day, you know, Floyd showed you that when his power wasn't working, right, and he's fighting guys who could take his power because he was so much bigger than him, you know, because he fought a lot of guys bigger than him. He fought guys smaller than him too, but a lot of guys bigger than him, right? And for Floyd to do that, and he's not fighting the fight like Henry Armstrong. He's fighting it smart. So he's boxing your ass. He gonna outbox you. He's not gonna take punches from you. Because that's the other thing. If you're fighting a guy much bigger than you, why would you try to take punches from him? You know what I'm saying? So you're trying to minimize that, right? And he was that good. You know, Pernell Whitaker only went up to 154 once. Okay. Fought a great Argentinian champion, but the point is, he only went up once because he couldn't take the punches from the bigger dude. Floyd did that. Think about what I'm saying now. Okay, people? Floyd did that 3 times. Canelo, Cotto, and Oscar. 3 times. The third time was against Canelo at a catch weight of 152. Okay? He did it 3 times. And he showed just how good he was because he rumbled with Cotto. Now, Oscar and Cotto are not true 154 pounders because, well, they are, but Cotto was a true 154 pounder. Definitely. Okay, right. Cotto was a 54 pounder. Oscar was a 154 pounder as well because he walks around 180 pounds. You know, he definitely couldn't make welterweight back. Okay, so he was a 154 pounder. Oscar was a true 154. Sugar Ray Leonard was a true 154. What's his name? Cotto was a 154 pounder, right? Cotto finished his career at 154. He did lose, but he finished his career at 154. He was a true 154 pounder. Oscar was a 154 pounder. I'm a 154 pounder. I walk around 175. I'm a 154 pounder. And Cotto. So Cotto, Oscar, and Sugar Ray Leonard, they're 154 pounders. Even though Leonard fought a lot of fights at 168, he really was a 154 pounder. That's what Leonard truly was, right? Hearns, on the other hand, he was a 168 pounder. Yeah. And he finished his career at cruiserweight, but he was a 168 pounder. Yeah. He was a super middleweight. That was his best weight class, I think. Not light heavyweight, not cruiserweight. Right? Thomas the Hitman Hearns. He's a 168 pounder. Probably walk around 190, 200 pounds. Yeah. So Floyd fought 2 true 154 pounders in Cotto and in Oscar. And Canelo's probably a true 160 to 168 pounder. He probably like Thomas Hearns. He's either 160 or 168 pounder. We don't know which one it is. We'll see. Right? But Canelo's a big dude. So when you think about that, when you think about Canelo, Floyd, whether you do a throwback fight or you don't, Floyd fought a guy much bigger than him. These guys are much bigger than Floyd. Floyd's really a 140 pounder. Now, he can't make 140 now, but he's really a 140 pounder. He's not a true welterweight, right? He would do the welterweight limit completely. He'd fight around the welterweight limit, right? But really, his best weight would have been 140. 140 is his best weight, I think. Not now, but obviously. He's probably 160, 165 who walks around, right? So Floyd wasn't a big welterweight at all. And so because of that, he fought some really big welterweights. Marcos Maidana came in fight night, the first fight, 165 pounds. The second fight came in 159, 158. Okay? So it's like, if you do a throwback fight, it's like Floyd's fighting a super middleweight. Floyd's a welterweight, he's fighting a super middleweight. Or you could look at it as, Floyd's fighting a middleweight. That was, if you do throwback fights, that's what it looked like. Because that on fight night in throwback fights, since they had the same day weigh-ins, the night of the fight or the evening of the fight, the guys are not much heavier than that. So, right. So anyway, I thought I would share this with you guys. You go check out Errol Spence. Errol Spence, of course, is a big guy. He's like walks around 175. Because he has the IBF title, he can only come in like 157, 10 pounds over the welterweight limit. So he comes in 157, and you can see he's very shredded because he's so dehydrated. He fights dehydrated. Errol fights dehydrated. Crazy, huh? I tell you. So if he didn't have the IBF title, he could have hydrated back up to 165. Usually they don't let you go higher than 165. So even if you walk around 175 or you train at 175, you still gonna have 10 pounds off of yourself. Night of the fight, you gotta weigh in at least the day of the fight, you gotta weigh in like 160, 165 is the top, the highest they let you, at least in the day of the weigh-in. Of course, in the night of the fight, you could still balloon up even more. Yeah. So, yeah, Floyd Mayweather, man. That's that. Listen, you got bad hands, and you fighting guys much bigger than you who are killers. I'm telling you, man. I don't care what they say. Even Sugar Ray Leonard, when he saw Floyd how he handled Canelo, Sugar Leonard was like, "This guy's the greatest thing I've ever seen." That's what Sugar Leonard said. That was his first comment. He couldn't believe Floyd handled a much bigger, stronger guy than him. And everybody's talking about, oh, Canelo, he shouldn't have boxed Floyd. He should have just, from the opening bell come at him, he would have had less success. Besides that, that's how Canelo fights anyway. He'd have even less success against Floyd if he tried to walk him down. Because it's trap setting. Jackson the Hopeful and Poobie Sit Strong. Don't forget to hit that like button. Jackson the Hopeful. How do you think Crawford does against Spence? How do I think Crawford does against Spence? He does all right. He does all right, but like I said before, Spence has something going for him. By the way, in the fight I was just talking about, Spence versus for some reason I just forgot his name. I just forget names like that. I don't know why. In the fight where Spence was facing the other guy, he wasn't really doing a lot of pivoting. He was just coming straight at the guy. But quite frankly, I think that Crawford is still overrated. When you guys think about him, he's still overrated. He ain't fought nobody at welterweight, first of all. Second of all, his pivot work is not like Spence's pivot work. Spence has much better pivot work, a lot stronger. I think he's a stronger guy than Crawford. And finally, last but not least, I think Errol Spence, from the time he faced Herdeen is the guy's name, to now, he has evolved a lot more, and he's shown a lot more in his game, especially against Mikey Garcia, who was supposed to be quicker because he's smaller than him. He really showed a really excellent game, and his jab was on point. So I think Errol Spence beats Terrence Crawford. I think he beats him still. Why is Crawford pound for pound number one? That's a great question. Why is he? Why is he pound for pound number one? His best fight to date was at lightweight. It was against an undersized Yuriorkis Gamboa, who's now at lightweight. Okay? That's his best win to date. Now, he fought some good fighters at 140. He fought some good fighters at 140. He fought one or two good fighters at lightweight. One of them, of course, was Gamboa. The other one is that British dude, Ricky Burns. Gamboa and Ricky Burns was good. Ray Beltran became world champion, so you got to count Ray Beltran, even though he ain't all. Ray Beltran ain't all that. Just got stopped, actually. Not that he wasn't fighting. It's just the referee decided this didn't make no sense. So he stopped the fight, right? But that was it for lightweight. At super lightweight, Victor Postol was a good fighter. A couple of the guys. Let me get Terrence Crawford's resume. You guys can hear me, right? I hope I'm not muted. You got a couple good guys that Terrence Crawford faced. Okay fighters, you know what I'm saying? Respectable fighters. Anthony fucking Joshua. That motherfucker. He's a good ass fighter. He still is. I hope Anthony Joshua can bounce back. You know what I'm saying? All right. Everybody keep on saying Terrence Crawford is pound for pound number one. I don't know why they say that, because he ain't fight nobody to prove that to me yet. The manner in which he won was great, but his better competition was at the lower weight classes. All right, he hasn't really had any good competition at welterweight. All right, Yuriorkis Gamboa and Ricky Burns. He beat Ricky Burns in Ricky Burns' hometown, so you got to give him credit for that. And then he defended against Yuricus Gamboa. Because Gamboa was much smaller than him. Ray Beltran was the other guy he beat, who was a world champion for a minute. Okay, and that's it. He fought some good fighters like Thomas Delorme. Derry Jean was a very good fighter. And how he handled Derry Jean was really good. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Derry Jean handled his own against Lamont Peterson. And this guy came in and just like, he just mishandled. He just malhandled Derry Jean. Beat him up. All right, eventually stopped him in the 10th. For Stoll is a good fighter. To this day, he's a good fighter. And he hadn't defended or anything. He just beaten Lucas Matisse, stopped him. And, I mean, Terence Crawford beat him up. Beat him up. He didn't. Did he drop him? I think he dropped him once, maybe. I don't know. And then Felix Diaz was a good fighter. Felix Diaz was a good fighter as well. And he beat Felix Diaz. So those were good fighters, right? Julius Ndongo, he was undefeated. Yeah, he beat Shabransky or whatever his name was. I can't remember who it is. Just now, I'll tell you who it is. Um, he beat Edward Troyanovsky. Troyanovsky, he beat that Argentinian boxer. I'll tell you who that I'm talking about. He beat Cuenca. Cesar Rene Cuenca, who's 48-0. That was a good little boxer, southpaw and everything. And he beat Cuenca. Cuenca actually, I think, quit the first time, and I think the second time he beat his ass. It is what it is, right? So he beat him. So that Ndongo, that's how Ndongo became champion and WBC, WBC, WBA, I think. No, it was WBA, IBF. So when he beat Julius Ndongo, he became undisputed. That's how he became undisputed. All right, Top Rank was able to make that happen, so that's how he became undisputed. But again, these guys, Postal and he fought Delorme for the vacant WBO super lightweight title. So it was Delorme, Postal, and Ndongo. That's how he became. Right. Again, these are okay fighters. They're all right. I mean, they're not superstars. They're not guys with long records and long histories. So he became undisputed, and that was great. But I would say that Usyk's undisputed title was a little bit better because some of the guys actually had a history. Some of the guys were seen as in the cruiserweight as like Marius Bredis. I think he was a good boxer, right? Some of those guys were good fighters. You know what I'm saying? Is that rain? Oh, that's rain. Okay, it's rain. Yeah. Then he went on to beat Jeff Horn, the weakest of all the welterweight champions. He beat Jeff Horn, who some argue didn't beat Manny Pacquiao. I thought he beat Manny Pacquiao, Jeff Horn. But, he beat Jeff Horn, stopped him in the 9th round to become WBO welterweight champion. After that, he fought Benavidez and Amir Khan. Now, for people to say, oh, that makes him pound for pound number one, what the fuck are they thinking? I mean, what are they thinking? All right, Terence Crawford, I did a video on this already. Terence Crawford don't got a better resume than Keith Thurman. He don't. All right, he doesn't. He doesn't have a better resume than Sean Porter has. And he sure as hell don't even have a better resume than Errol Spence at welterweight. He doesn't. Right? So, Errol Spence at welterweight. Okay, hold on. Look at the names Errol Spence has at welterweight. Okay. The fuck just happened there? Shit. Why are we? Hold on a second. Errol Spence's record is at welterweight because that's all he fought at. Okay, these are the names that Errol Spence has beaten at welterweight. He's beaten Chris Van Herdeen, good fighter. Chris Algieri, another good fighter, former world champion at super lightweight. Leonard Bundu, a guy that Keith Thurman was able to defeat. Was an undefeated fighter before that. Then he went on to face the number one welterweight in the world at the time, Kell Brook. Just got beaten by Triple G though. Then he went on to face the WBA regular champion, Lamont Peterson. Then he went on to face Carlos Ocampo, who we don't give a fuck about. And then he went on to face Mikey Garcia, pound for pound number 10 in the world, something like that. Okay? Mikey Garcia has a better resume than Terrence Crawford. Okay? It's just what it is. It's what it is. Mikey Garcia faced Orlando Salido, okay, who was a WBO featherweight champion multiple times. Rocky Martinez, also known as Robert Martinez, he's a weak champion, but nonetheless, he at featherweight, he did his thing in super featherweight. He just got knocked out by Lomachenko. Then, after his long hiatus from boxing because of fucking Bob Arum on Top Rank, he came back. He faced undefeated Dejan Salatikan, who nobody wanted to face, at lightweight. Okay? Get this smoke. Peace to you, brother. Get the smoke. Unified a division. Hold up. Unified a division and multi-weight champion. Which means what? See, you guys talk accolades, but that don't mean shit. I'm going to tell you why. If it sounds aggressive. Who the fuck he beat? That's what I keep on asking people. I keep on asking people, I get this smoke, who the fuck he beat? It don't mean nothing. You unifying a division that's weak doesn't mean nothing. You compare to other guys who did things in divisions. You see what I'm saying? And Roger Mayweather would always say this. Boxers will always tell you this. All them accolades are cool. But I ask you, who? Level of opposition is everything. So you cannot call Terrence Crawford pound for pound number one and ain't faced nobody. You know what I'm saying? The guys he faced, Victor Postol, the African dude, all right, and Thomas Delorme, they are not top tier boxers. They are not proven motherfucking boxers. Get what I'm saying? Yes, exactly. Linares and Gary Russell are about the same in terms of level of opposition, not in terms of skill set. Now, I'm not talking about Crawford's skill set. His skill sets is off the charts. But when it comes to level of competition, you cannot put him above those other guys. And the reason why we talk about level of competition is because it tests your skill set. You're being tested. So you may look great against lower level competition, but then against higher level competition, you can't do the things and implement the skills you would normally implement. But if you do, then it shows that those skill sets and stuff were legit. And I'm not saying Crawford's not a legit boxer. I'm just saying the level of competition he's faced. You get what I'm saying? Where he been vanquishing them. Like if they're nothing, right? As if he looks great because he's facing this level of competition. You know, this brings me to a good point. Yeah. Canelo, talking about Canelo, but hey, okay, you just see, this is the interesting thing I got. All right. I guess because I say Canelo's my pound for pound number one. That's probably where you came up with Canelo. Because I wasn't even talking about Canelo, right? And then Canelo just suddenly pops up in the discussion. Kind of like, you're saying Usyk is weak, but check this out. In his undisputed title, he faced up against, hold on. Again, you know, I'm not saying that you don't have valid points, right? I'm not saying that you don't have a valid point. I'm just saying that Terrence Crawford's been rated highly on the pound for pound list. Now Lomachenko, Lomachenko has faced Guillermo Rigondeaux. Again, just like Terrence Crawford, Rigondeaux had to move up weight classes to face him, right? You know, Gamboa shouldn't have had to move up in weight. Gamboa was a super featherweight. And he jumped up to lightweight to face, and because Gamboa wasn't getting no work. You remember, Gamboa was fucking Bob Arum again. Left Gamboa on a shelf. Left Gamboa on a shelf. Gamboa wasn't facing nobody. Gamboa, after years of inactivity, had to go and face Terrence Crawford. Let's be real here. You're undersized, and you're not getting to fight nobody. Same thing with Guillermo Rigondeaux. Guillermo Rigondeaux was scrapping for competition, you know, and then Guillermo Rigondeaux had to jump up 2 fucking weight classes from super bantamweight to lightweight. 2, 3, 3, isn't it 3 weight classes? Because he had to jump up. I think he had to jump up past featherweight and super fucking featherweight, right? 2 lightweights, so it's 3 weight classes he had to jump up just to face fucking Lomachenko, right? Nicholas Walters was inactive for a long time. Then they put him up to just face Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? That's how they was moving. But that's boxing. It's dirty, right? Anyways, yeah, but they starved him out. They starved him out. They fucked him over, nice and good. Now he's with Al Heyman. So hopefully, in these latter years, he can make some money and actually do something. I didn't see the Charles Martin AJ stoppage. I mean, I can go back and check that. But Chris Van Herdeen was game. He was still fighting. He was still fighting. He was game. I'm not saying he was winning anything, but I'm just saying he was game and he was coming on. You know, and I wanted to see how it would have panned out. You know, it is what it is. I gotta watch the Charles Martin fight thing. Dude, he was throwing just moments before. He shelled up. Now, come on, man. You serious? Go watch. I tell you, go watch the fight. You just listening to the commentary too much. Because he was game. That same round, Sean Porter spit out his mouthpiece because Van Herdeen had hit him with a body shot, a right spleen shot. And was backing his ass up. And Van Herdeen had been on the ropes doing that before. So the referee just decided to stop the fight. Nah, I don't buy that shit at all. Not at all. Not at all. He shelled up. He shelled up. And he came out of the shell easy. Right after the ref said stop the fight, he was like, "What, ref? What are you doing?" Right? Nah, I buy that shit at all. He had time to hug the dude afterwards and stuff. No, man. Come on now. If you know boxing, again, I box, so I knew nothing was really happening there. You know, he was just waiting. Again, so Winky Roll on the right should have lost a whole bunch of matches. Because he would just shell up and wait for you to tee off your stuff, and then he'd just come back at you. And Chris was ready, right? Oh, man, it's boxing, man. It's boxing. They just had it rigged that way. What the fuck you talking about, man? Chris was coming on. What are you talking about? Chris Sam, what's good, what you need? Shout out to you, man. Come on, man, get this smoke. Come on, man. Go watch the fucking fight. You haven't watched the fight in a while. Go watch it. I used to be just like you. I was like, nope. Who you got in Spence versus Porter? I got Spence. Winning. He'll outbox Porter. And Porter can box. But I just think Van Herdeen wasn't in trouble. Dude, go watch the fight. Because right now, you got to go watch the fight. Go watch the fight again. Just go watch the fight again. Because you haven't. Trust me. You'll have a different opinion at the end. You'll realize what was really happening. Because Van Herdeen wasn't in trouble. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He was just shelled up. And in fact, he shelled up so well before earlier on he was getting hit with those uppercuts that Errol Spence was hitting him with. Errol Spence wasn't even hitting him with the uppercuts. He had shelled up that good. You should go watch it again. Trust me. It is not what you think. You know, the commentary will influence your mind. It really will. And those commenters did a trash job. I don't want to curse. They did a trash job on that fight, man. Why do you say you don't want to watch? Seriously, Chris Sam? Come on, man. Dude, this is boxing. It's not about the reputation of Kovalev. Y'all think too much about his reputation, how powerful he punches, and how strong his jab is. All right. So, will Kovalev hit Canelo with a jab? Can Kovalev? He probably could hit Canelo with a jab. But what I mean is, do you think that Kovalev could hurt Canelo with a jab? What I mean by that is, let me try and rephrase that, because that's just still not it. Do you think that Kovalev in his fight with Canelo, watching at Canelo's defense, watching a Danny Jacobs who has he has fucking good ways of throwing jabs. All right, you watch the Canelo stand right in front of Jacobs and not get hit with a jab. What's to make Kovalev any different? Now, Chris says there's a 1-2. You know, there's going to be a right hand coming after the jab, which means nothing to me because Danny Jacobs tried that too. It doesn't work. You see, what you have to understand in boxing is if I want to find you, there are different ways for me to find you. But the principal way most boxers try to find their target is with a jab. It don't have to hit, but it has to be thrown in such a manner that you can then throw your other power punches behind it. Whether you want to double up, whether you want to hook off the jab, or whether you want to hook off the jab with the right hand, or you want to throw your right power hand after the jab, whatever you want to do. And so what I try to explain to people is Canelo is such a character that he varies range and distance in such a manner. He swivels. When you swivel the head, it's a problem. You can't hit a moving target. That's why you see sometimes, like with Danny Jacobs, he was trying to throw the 2 after the 1. He tried to throw the 2 after the 1 and Canelo swivel, and you would see his hand go with Canelo's head. You know. And another thing, fucking Canelo is difficult to fight. He's difficult to fight right now. Y'all don't even understand the science of boxing. Like I can see it because I fight. So you ask any boxer, ask any fighter. Canelo's very difficult to fight. He's a difficult guy to fight. And he brings it. Canelo's not a guy that will stay away. He brings it, and he got a good chin and all of that, right? But he's a very difficult guy to fight and beat right now. Let me tell you. And you know who said that? Clarissa Shields said it. I'm telling you the people who said it. Clarissa Shields said it. My boy Troy King said it. And Troy King, you know, he's a black fighter. He's a southpaw. He's still boxing. He got his eye messed up though, right? DT3 said it. Okay, DT3 is also a boxer. All right. I'm just talking about people in boxing. All right. You talk to I think it was Floyd Mayweather Sr. was saying that Canelo, he's good and he could get even better if he trains him. But he said he don't really see nobody right now beating Canelo. There are a number of different people. Oh, really? You see, Troy King, man. Motherfucker can box too a little bit. I watch him. Yeah. So what I'm saying is he's not what he looks like. You see, a lot of people think that Canelo is this, you know, inside banger kind of guy and he's overhyped and shit. But if you go back and watch film of him when he was younger, you see he boxed even a lot more than he boxes now. You know, now he don't move as much. He very, very economical in his movements. People say, oh, his offense ain't that great. Because he pot shotting you. He's pot shotting you off of angles and swiveling and pivoting and all kinds of little shit he's doing coming inside on you. You know, so much illusion, man, to that guy. You know, because he looked like he's going to be aggressive on you. You know, he looks like he's going to come at you here. And he's not really doing that. He's just on one spot. He didn't even move his legs. He just like, you know, but he didn't do nothing. He got you moving. See, he tries to trigger you to react sometimes. It's get you out of position. Ah, boxing, man. Yeah, so some people overhype him. I mean, some people talk about, oh, he gonna knock this guy out. And I'm like, no, that ain't happening. He's not knocking out nobody. Like they said how he was gonna knock out Danny Jacobs. Some fanboys, and I was like, fuck no. Y'all underestimate Danny Jacobs. If you've seen Danny Jacobs versus Derevchenko, you see Danny got mad skills, mad fucking skills. I think he dropped Derevchenko in the 11 or something like that. He got crazy. Derevchenko can box too. You know, I think Derevchenko would take down a couple boxers out there. Now, I'd love to see Derevchenko versus Charlo. So they talking about Derevchenko versus Charlo. That's a good ass fight. That'll test Charlo to his limit. Y'all thought that Korobov was a test? Derevchenko's a test. Derevchenko's a fucking test. So I would like to see if Charlo can handle Derevchenko. You know, Korobov is all right, but Derevchenko. I think Derevchenko beats Korobov, honestly speaking. I'm hyped up on Derevchenko, as you can tell. I like how he fights. And I saw him also in the ESPN series where he was stopping guys. And then I said, this guy can fight. That Russian guy, he's good. He's good. Oh, Get the Smoke said Chris was already hurt. He hit him with a body shot. No doubt about that. But he recovered from that. Chris had recovered from that body shot. If he had hit him with another body shot, I would have said, but he didn't hit him with a body shot. So that's a mute point again. Chris was coming on, actually. If they were at the same weight of 160, then I agree with you. But Kovalev 2 weight divisions higher, so I don't want to see it either. That don't mean nothing. Weight divisions in this case don't mean nothing, Chris Sam. It don't mean shit. He's still gonna catch Kovalev with that body shot, and he's still gonna put his ass down. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like I'm not even afraid to see a Canelo versus Kovalev fight. I'm not afraid to see that. I know what'll happen. More than likely, Canelo is going to either have him backing up like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. did, or he's going to hurt him and stop him because he places body shots so well. That's what Canelo does. He's a body puncher. That's what he does. And he feints and he does all kinds of shit. So I don't see Kovalev catching Canelo like that, like how you guys think, and putting down Andre Ward. Andre Ward made a mistake. He decided he was going to pull counter, not even pull counter. He was going to hook with a heavier handed guy. That was his mistake. And he was off balance when he was throwing the hook too. That's why he went down as well. So that's the only reason why Sergey Kovalev, put him down. It was his mistake. And he didn't make that mistake again for the rest of the fight. But if he didn't make that mistake, he would have beaten him outright. He would have beaten him outright. Look at it. Look at the second fight. Kovalev didn't even have a chance. He was on him. When he realized, hey, this guy's soft to the body, he was on him. And Ward's not this one hitter quitter kind of boxer either. He is coming up from super middleweight. All right? And Ward and Canelo's slightly smaller than Ward. I guess Canelo's like a 165 pounder maybe. Between 160 and 168. All right? So if you think about it, Canelo's like, size-wise, he's like around Andre Ward's size. A little smaller than Andre Ward. Andre Ward's a true 168 pounder. A little bit bigger now. He's a true 168 pounder. And he was campaigning at light heavyweight. Bivol is a true 168 pounder. He's campaigning at light heavyweight. Canelo and Bivol around the same size. That's what you guys don't understand. Canelo is big. He's a big dude, right? So It's not really like Canelo's jumping up two weight classes if you think about it. Because Canelo comes in on fight night about 175, 180, right? So he's like cruiserweight, light heavyweight status, right? So him facing Kovalov is not. I mean, Kovalov comes in 190, right? He's more like a cruiserweight, but it don't matter because once you place a punch, Miguel Cotto wasn't this big puncher like everybody say. He was just clinical in how you play. Placing punches is more important than leverage. Placing punches, how you place them and timing. So if I catch you when you was not bracing for that shot, I hit you very cleanly and accurately in a certain spot behind your ribs. Shit, that fucking thing takes the air out of you. That's what happened. Errol Spence hit Chris Van Herdeen with that shot, knocked the wind out of him. And he just had to suck it up for a minute. Thankfully, the round was over. Otherwise, he would have been. But he probably recouped from that in the next round. What Errol needed to do was hit him there again. But that's easier said than done. When you got a game opponent, you know. When you got a game opponent like Josecito Lopez or like Chris Van Herdeen, you ain't getting them out of there like that. It's not happening, you know. Chris M says, I'd rather see Canelo Andrade or Canelo Charlo. I too. I would like to see that because it's long in the works. A long time we wanted to see Andrade versus Canelo or Charlo versus Canelo because they were in the same weight division in 154. So yeah, I would love to see that. I'd love to see those fights. Get the Smoke says Danny 1-2. Kovalev 1-2. Danny's greater than Kovalev. Yeah, Danny's 1-2. You mean Danny Garcia? Danny Garcia? Oh, Danny Jacobs. Oh, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. And he throws a greater assortment of jabs too. You need to move to Vegas, Mr. Science of Boxing. Why? Troy King was in my hood for years. Oh, really? So you live in Oakland? Because I think Troy's over on that side. Chris Sam says, I appreciate Canelo's science and skills. That's what helped him to get number one on my pound for pound list among his accomplishments. His skill set, and also let's not forget his competition. Canelo, I mean, today, Canelo got the best resume in the new breed generation. Aside from Manny Pacquiao, I think Canelo got the best resume. You know, I never said Canelo was overhyped. Lots of people say he's overhyped. Canelo is a beast, one of the best operators. Kovalev still has too much for Saul, hence the offer. Chenko has short arms and missing a gear. Oh, missing a gear. I mean, he got clocked by the last opponent he faced. That guy, arguably you could make a case for the other guy saying that he won. He didn't win, and he showed some vulnerabilities. But I like him. Because short arms or not, he gets on the inside of his opponent. He can take a punch too coming in, but he gets on the inside, so it doesn't really matter. He's an inside fighter, yeah? He's not an outside fighter, really. And his jab is pretty effective. Even though he got short arms, he has a way of slipping your jab and still getting to the inside of you and still hitting you with his jab, which shows how much skill he has. You know, Canelo got short arms compared to other guys in his division. He still tags them. He still gets them with his jab. He still gets on the inside. You see, so what I'm saying is, you know, Manny Pacquiao got short arms. Manny Pacquiao got ridiculously short arms, right? That's what they call him, T-Rex arms. He still gets to his opponent. But Pacquiao got a different mechanism by which he's able to land his punches. He springs off those feet. He has a springing action. You know, spring and extend. Beautiful to watch. So really interesting. He uses those feet like, it's his feet that really give him the power. You know who said that too? I can't remember which guy it was, but a guy said that Pacquiao's power comes from his feet. That springing action. That explosive springing action. Bam! You know, he fights with his feet. His feet and his hands coordinated very nicely. Yeah, Canelo has several jabs, but yes, his jabs are unappreciated. The thing about Canelo is he won't throw a jab if he knows it's going to be predictable. So whereas people keep on peppering jabs, they just keep on throwing the jab, throwing the jab, throwing. Canelo don't, and you don't try to throw it the same way. So that's why you don't see Canelo throwing a lot of jabs. He come from the school of Andre Ward kind of school of thought. You know, Floyd, Andre Ward, Whitaker. Well, Whitaker still threw his jab a lot, very often, but you know. Do you got Pacquiao beating Thurman then? Hell no. That's not happening. Keith smart, man. I don't know why people think that Keith knows he needs to win 7 out of 12 rounds, right? He knows he has to win them convincingly to get the judges. And he knows he's fighting against a living legend. So if the fight's even close, Pacquiao gets it, right? So it's either one or two things Keith got to do. He got to undisputably win rounds, show that he actually won those rounds, or he got to stop Pacquiao to win. He knows this. So Keith knows that he has to make it decisive, his win over Pacquiao, right? We saw him beat Danny Garcia. It was decisive, right? We know who landed the punches that hurt. We know who hurt who. We know who was outboxing who. So Keith decisively beat Danny Garcia. He's got to do the same thing against Manny Pacquiao, which is why I have him winning 8-4 or 7-5. I prefer 8-4 because if he wins 7-5, he's not going to win 7-5. Pacquiao going to get it. He got to win 8-4. Yeah, the only time I really saw Golovkin really timing Canelo's jab with an overhand right and jab back in the second fight was the 10th round. Yep. And then Canelo made an adjustment, right? So he didn't do it again. I had Thurman beating Garcia 7-5. Yeah, he made it close, though, because he was boxing him on the outside, so people thought he wasn't winning anymore. 8-4, okay. Yeah, boxing him on the outside. But really, Keith was the guy landing the punches. Danny wasn't doing shit. He wasn't doing shit. Danny was chasing him down. Keith changed it around. And you see boxers like Keith. Floyd was one of the boxers I saw doing this. He would come out aggressive first. Early on in the fight, he'd come out aggressive just to establish who's boss so he could dictate. And then from there on in, he would box you. Say, come get me. And every now and then, he would turn around again and show you who he really was and say, I'm the boss here, and dictate. And then he would just turn back around and say, come find me again. You know? So, Keith does something like that. He uses a strategy like that. And he also uses what we call he dubs it the yin yang theory. If you're gonna come at me, fine, I get to counter punch your ass. If I have to go looking for you, I'm gonna come looking for you then. You know? Chris M, yeah, that Mayweather Mosley fight. Yeah. Mayweather Mosley. Now Floyd beat the shit out of Mosley. I don't think Mosley ever was the same after the Floyd fight. He was never the same after the Floyd fight, in my opinion. You know? Fought Sergio Mora. They say it was a draw. I thought Mora won. Then he went back and he faced Manny Pacquiao. And, he got dropped. And he tried to turn Pacquiao. He was turning Pacquiao. But he wasn't really landing a whole set of offense on Pacquiao. He was just kind of there, turning him, and not really doing much other than that. So, after the Pacquiao fight, I think he fought Canelo. And he put up a lively performance against Canelo, but again, he lost that one. Canelo was just tagging him up. He showed a lot of heart. And then he went and fought, I can't remember who else he fought. I think he beat the next guy and he went on to fight. I think it was at 154. He fought Anthony Mundine and his back was giving him trouble. He was getting beat up anyway. And then he went on to face Ricardo Mayorga again. He was able to stop Ricardo Mayorga. And then he went and fought some kid named David Avanesian. I think there's some guy before David Avanesian. David Avanesian whooped his ass. Mosley wasn't the same, I don't think, after the Mayweather fight. Chris M says, yeah, Keith always having What's going on? Suddenly my comments thing is not working. Ooh, what happened? Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Keith's always having that yin yang mode, lol. Either boxes or pressures you. Keith, in my opinion, never really fights you in the clinches so that yeah. That's one of his flaws. He doesn't clinch much. He doesn't clinch much. You man, that's a good point. Actually, I was listening at Stacy Mayweather talk about it, and he said Keith, when he gets tagged or hurt, he actually tries to backpedal and get away from his opponent. And that could lead to the guy pressuring him and really just finishing him off. He needs to try to close the distance and smother or clinch. He doesn't seem to be good at doing that. So that's a very good point you just made. And that could cost him the fight if he doesn't watch himself. So because Pacquiao can end up winning rounds because it looked like Pacquiao doing him something, beating him around the ring instead of him trying to close in. And that's hard to close in on Pacquiao when you're hurt, though. So it may be in his best interest to put his two guard up and just shell up, let Pacquiao do his thing. That's like I said, when Pacquiao hurt Floyd Mayweather, for example, right? And he jumped on him and was throwing a barrage of punches. Mayweather wasn't throwing nothing back. So why didn't the referee stop that fight? Like with the Chris Herdeen, Errol Spence fight. Yeah, Herdeen went down twice in the round before, but he did go down. Nothing was happening with him, and he had just hurt Errol Spence. So, that's all I'm saying. I agree with you. If it's close, they're going to give it to Pac. Give the old fighter another payday. Yeah, man. One of the things I would like to see Pac-Man, he have a fight. I think he's going to have his homecoming fight in the Philippines. But have a fight where, you end on a high note, you beat whoever. If Pac-Man beats Keith Thurman, shit. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Pac-Man gonna have made history. He's gonna make history. All right, and it's not beyond Pac-Man to do it. That's the thing. It's still amazing to think about that. Yes, he blocked the punches. I know, but so did Chris Van Herdeen. That was my point. Why did they stop the fight? He was blocking the punches. That's my point. If you're blocking punches, the guy's not hitting you really. They say, well, he wasn't throwing anything back. Yeah, but you have to wait. You have to watch as a referee. Watch to see if the guy, he's still altogether there. Joshua Clottey wasn't throwing anything back when Manny Pacquiao was throwing a barrage of punches. Right? He wasn't throwing anything back, but that don't mean you stop the fight. That's all I'm saying. And you, as a referee, you should. Oh man. As a referee, you should be able to distinguish between when a guy's actually there in the fight and stuff, and he's actually doing something, and when, I gotta go out the road, man. I gotta get something to eat. I'm still hungry. And when a guy's doing something, when he's not doing something. That's all I'm saying. Oh yeah, I was gonna show you guys what Errol. Did I show you guys? I think I showed you guys what Errol Spence is competition already, and I showed you what Terrence Crawford's competition is. And just so people know, Canelo's competition. I'm gonna show you what it is. Using this phone here. All right. Oh, Mikey Garcia. I was saying Mikey Garcia got better competition than Errol Spence. And this is Mikey Garcia's competition. Errol Spence. I'm sorry, not Errol Spence. Terrence Crawford. He fought Errol Spence Jr. Who is classed right now as the #1 welterweight in the world. That's just what Ring has it as. He fought him, lost to him, but he fought the undefeated Robert Easter Jr. at lightweight and beat him, dropped him as well. He went up to super lightweight and beat Sergey Lipinets, the guy who beat Lamont Peterson. He fought Adrian the fucking Problems Broner at super lightweight, which was Adrian Broner's weight class, where Adrian Broner won 2 world titles at. He beat Adrian Broner there. And this is jumping up from lightweight. Then, he, as I said before, he beat Jazan Zlatican, who nobody wanted to face, was undefeated, and beat him at lightweight. Adrian Broner, 4-time world champion in 4 different weight, 6-time world champion in 4 different weight classes. That's the guy he beat. All right. Sergey Lipinets, proven fighter, IBF world champion. Robert Easter was the IBF lightweight world champion. Okay. And Errol Spence was the IBF world welterweight champion. Okay, they was fighting for the diamond belt. All right. On top of that, he also faced Roman Martinez and Orlando fucking Salido. All right. That's Mikey Garcia. Got a better resume than Terrence Crawford. Better. And Mikey Garcia came up from featherweight, by the way. Okay? He's 4 divisional fucking world champion. Terrence Crawford's 3 divisional. Resume wise, Mikey got a better resume than Terrence Crawford. Resume wise. Canelo. Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo got the best resume right now in boxing. Other than Manny. So, Terrence Crawford, okay. Canelo fought some former world champions. We don't want to talk about them. All right? They're washed up. They was old. Right? I'm going to leave out Shane Mosley, too. Canelo faced the prime champion coming off a win against a named guy in Miguel Cotto, Austin Trout. He faced Austin Trout, okay? This is the weakest of them all, actually, because his resume is short. And he really hadn't done nothing after. He'd been a contender, but he never won back a championship after that. So Austin Trout, he beat him. Then he faced the pound-for-pound #1 in the world, Mr. TBE himself, Floyd Mayweather Jr. All right? He faced him. Then he went on to face very tough, very elusive, very skilled southpaw in Erislandy fucking Lara, who has a reputation. He was the #1 super welterweight champion at the time. All right? He was the man. He went on to face the middleweight champion of the world, Miguel fucking Cotto. All right? Miguel Cotto is a 4-divisional world champion. He had world championships at middleweight, super welterweight, welterweight, and junior welterweight. That motherfucker got 4 divisional titles, the most divisions ever for a Puerto Rican. Made history. He's an all-time great. Has beaten names, has faced names. Fucking Miguel Cotto. So he faced Floyd Mayweather, who is the #1 middleweight in the world, by the way, Miguel Cotto, and lineal champion. Fuck Amir Khan. He then went on to face former middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I mentioned Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has also beaten some names and was a long-standing world champion. All right, Amir Khan, I couldn't mention Amir Khan, but Amir Khan gets knocked out too much. All right, he's too. Amir Khan is a 1-divisional world champion, or 2-divisional, I think, lightweight and super lightweight. But fuck Amir Khan, I don't care about him. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He fought him, but forget Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Then he faced Gennady Golovkin, the #1 middleweight in the world, and was esteemed by the ESPN as the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. Gennady Golovkin, he faced him twice. And then very recently he faced Daniel Jacobs. All right, the IBF world middleweight champion who had defended his title a number of times before he faced Canelo. So I'm just saying, this fucking resume is pound for pound status resume. All right? Lomachenko got a decent resume too because he got a few fights, and in his few fights he's done very well. You know, Clarissa Shields got a fucking good resume as well. But at the end of the day, even though they did all these great things in such small fights, the level of competition they have faced is nowhere in the class of the level of competition that Canelo has faced. You know what they have faced is good competition. So there's no way in God's planet Earth. I don't care if Canelo got a loss against Floyd. His resume is pound for pound status, legendary status resume. And if he adds Demetrius Andre to that list, who is a terror? That's like a real threat, you know. And again, another reigning champion. If he does that, then he cements his pound for pound number one status. Period. Nobody gonna have a resume like Canelo. And he goes up, if he goes up to super middleweight next and faces Billy Joe Saunders or Caleb Smith or Caleb Plant, sorry, or Callum Smith, you know, or all three of them, he will again cement his legacy as, you know, pound for pound number one. But I don't want to see no fucking Canelo GGG3. You know, somebody talk to Canelo and tell him the fans want him to face Demetrius fucking Andre. Somebody tell Canelo that. I don't want to see no fucking Gennady Golovkin fight. Screw that. I want Canelo versus Demetrius Andre. Give the guy a shot. You know, we can see Canelo versus GGG come the Mexican holiday, Cinco de Mayo. You know, that's a great time to have that fight. You know, you want to make a money-making fight? Have all the fucking belts, man. Oh, shit. And the nice thing about those belts is he actually fought guys for these belts who are legendary or have proven themselves. They're proven champions. He beat Miguel Cotto, who's an all-time great. You know, it's not just he's going undisputed for undisputed's sake, but it's a weak division. No, he's actually fighting dudes that everybody esteems so great. Triple G been, you know, around forever, was, you know, the unified champion and all of that shit. You know, didn't fight all the great names really, but, you know, the division was a bit weak at this time. He was facing them, but it was long reigning, you know what I'm saying? And then you got Demetrius Andre, who now, you know, then you got Danny Jacobs, who defended his IBF title a number of times against really solid competition. Solanke, Derevyanchenko, you know what I'm saying? Those good, he beat those guys. And then he went up and faced Canelo. Canelo beat him, you know what I'm saying, for the IBF world title. You know, he's been picking off title by title. He's not fighting unified guys. He's fighting guys with, you know, titles and picking them off. And now, instead of Gennady Golovkin, him facing Gennady Golovkin, which is unworthy. Gennady Golovkin doesn't deserve that fucking fight right now in September. The man who deserves that fight is the man who everybody said did a masterclass against Solanke. I didn't say it, but they say so. Let Demetrius, this is Demetrius Andre's time. Do not deny him his time. He has put himself in a position where if Canelo wants to go for undisputed, this is what you got to do. So let's get it, man. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get undisputed. You know? Let's get undisputed and end the story. Let's see Canelo versus Demetrius Andre. I'm going to push for that fight. I don't know what nobody is. I'm pushing for that fucking fight. I'm happy the Kovalev fight didn't come through. Let's see Canelo versus Demetrius Andre. That's a worthy opponent. That's opponent some people think will beat Canelo. By the way, Amir Khan won his fight last night against Billy Dibbs. Yep, that's a trademark. Get on, man. Oh man. Oh. Hey man, we must chop it up sometime in a hangout. We made with a guy, Chris M. If it's close, they're gonna give it to Pac. Yeah, man. Why not? I mean, it's just incredible that Pac-Man is even thinking of facing, and no bullshit there. That's a legitimate threat. Keep that. You know, there's no gimmick in that. You know, And there's no catch weights, none of that shit. Austin Trout was an A-level fight at the time. Yeah, he was A-level, but I mean, he hadn't defended his title. He just went straight to unification, kind of like Victor Postol. And if you look at Austin Trout, he still got into contender status after that, but unlike Victor Postol, but I don't really. I mean, Trout he beat a legend in Miguel Cotto, right? Whereas Postol was fighting for a vacant title, so I guess. Chris M, I don't rate the Khan win highly either. Khan was a smaller fighter, exactly. I don't get when people saying Khan was outboxing Canelo. I had Canelo winning 3-2 rounds going into the sixth. Yep, I agree. Or maybe 3-2 Khan is acceptable, but 4-1 Khan, no way. Yeah, Khan was. I want undisputed. I agree. I think, I'm pushing for undisputed. I think Demetrius Andrade is the next best guy to face Canelo. I hope he does better than Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs came on late. He's trying to understand the rhythm of Canelo. He said Canelo's rhythm was confusing him. So I would love to see him face. I would love to see him face Canelo. I think that's a good challenge for Canelo too. Another slick boxer. You know what I mean? Old people are allowed to yawn. Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This old fart. Hey, but this old fart trying to do a professional match. So if you back me, y'all should be backing Manny Pacquiao. All y'all should be backing, because all of us are over 40. Pacquiao represents our demographic. He represents us. And just like how what's his name, Bernard Hopkins was representing us. He got his ass beat, but I hope Pacquiao can do better than Bernard Hopkins. That's all I want. I mean, if I can get, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Now, past greats like Sugar Ray Robinson, these guys, and Sugar Ray Leonard, they took the smoke. They was like, I'm going for the best, right? But they got beat the fuck up when they did that. I just don't think I think Pacquiao's gonna do better than them. I think he's gonna do a lot better than them. I think it's gonna be a competitive fight. I really think that Manny Pacquiao, as small as he is and short as he is, especially with Keith Thurman clowned him, and Keith knows this. Keith's a smart guy. He knows he's going to get the best possible Pacquiao he possibly can get. He stirred up Pacquiao, make sure he gets the best possible Pacquiao he can get. That's what Keith wants. Keith don't want no, by that logic, Gervonta Davis is representing me. Precisely. He's a baby. Yep. It's a sad thing. Older guys, who've been around boxing a long time, they got all this knowledge. It's just the body doesn't keep up with it. Like, there's certain shots you want to do. There's certain things you want to do. I mean, I'm relatively young in the sport of boxing. But what I mean by that is, the guys who've been doing it for 20 years and stuff, 20 plus years. There's punches they want to throw, and they just can't pull the trigger. That's when you get older. And especially when you're washed up. You washed up as a boxer. You got all this fucking knowledge. You know what to do. But you still can't do it because your body's failing you at that time. I saw Pacquiao shadow box. I'm more confident about my pick. I think it'll definitely be competitive. Oh, it's going to be competitive. But I got Keith Thurman all day, every day of the week. He's just too smart. I think people underestimate his intelligence. He's way too smart for that. So I don't see Keith Thurman losing that fight. But one of the fundamental flaws, Keith, you got to know how to grip him up. You have to grip. Pacquiao doesn't stop throwing hands. You're going to have to lock him up at some point in time. And Keith don't like to lock up. I noticed that. He'll let you do your thing. But you need to stop the action sometimes, Keith. You need to break that, which would mean locking him up. You got to do what Jeff Horn was doing. You got to get on the inside of him and control him on the inside. You have to do that. Okay? If you don't control Pacquiao on the inside, he's gonna go nuts on you. He doesn't stop throwing hands. You could have him in a headlock, he's still throwing hands.
You know, you got to grip him good too. I remember what Floyd said. He said, "Look, I was just slipping and turning. You know, I had to grip him up. I had to be smart. You had to grip him up. You know, lock him up and turn him. You know, because Pacquiao, man, he's a buzzsaw. He's a buzzsaw. He has different speeds though. He does have different speeds. He'll do as if he'll do as if he's just stalking you, or at certain moments he'll do as if yeah, I could demonstrate it if you want, but he does as if he I like him. I like him now because he's a lot more crafty, and he knows he's fighting tougher, higher level competition. You know, because okay, I'll give you an example. When Pacquiao came back, his comeback fight, right after his loss to Pat Marcus, was Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios, no disrespect to Brandon Rios, but he not slick at all. You know, and he a good inside fighter, but he don't know what to do when he's on the outside. His comeback fight from his loss against Jeff Horn was Lucas Matisse. Lucas Matisse is a solid Argentinian boxer. Solid. With good power. You know? And he landed his good power on Pacquiao, by the way. So, I mean, that was a step up. And then the next fight he had after that was Adrian Broner. And people esteem Adrian Broner as a guy that could beat Manny Pacquiao. I used to esteem Adrian Broner as a guy that could beat Manny Pacquiao until I saw him fight Floyd Mayweather. And after the Floyd Mayweather fight and Pacquiao fighting, who did he fight after that? I think he fought, who did he fight? He fought, was it Timothy Bradley or was it Jesse Vargas? I can't remember. You know. And Jesse Vargas learned very quickly that Pacquiao is not a guy. I mean, Jesse Vargas was game. And Pacquiao still dropped his ass. You know what I'm saying? And then Timothy Bradley. So I think after the Mayweather fight, if you look at the competition Pacquiao's had of late, very good fighters and young fighters. Very good fighters. You know, solid guys. Even before the Mayweather fight against Chris Algieri, the only problem with that was it was a catch weight. So I didn't like that because that favored Pacquiao because Pacquiao couldn't make it all the way down to 140 anymore. So I thought that was kind of, again, it had a catch to it where it kind of favored Pacquiao, you know. Um, and then Chris Algieri, he's a guy that got beat up by different people, you know what I'm saying. But when you look at guys like Jesse Vargas, that fight with Jesse Vargas was a good fight. Timothy Bradley fights was good fights, right? Then he fought Jeff Horn, and he lost. You know, that was a good fight. Jeff Horn had his number at the time, and I'm sure he would like to rematch Jeff Horn and get his revenge. But Jeff Horn is now fighting up at middleweight. That's right, Jeff Horn's that big. Okay, he's fighting at middleweight right now, so he was a monster. Jeff Horn's a big dude. And Then he fought Lucas Matisse and then Adrian Broner. So you look at the level of competition he's facing, and the fact that there's no caveats in there, there's no catch weights. You know, the fights are up and down straight and legit. I mean, Lucas Matisse was coming off of a knockout loss to Victor Postol a couple years back, but nonetheless, you know, he did well. He went up against that guy. This guy gets some really good fights too, and he don't deserve it, in my opinion. But more power to him. What's his fucking name? This guy got some legendary fighters on his list. It's coming to me. I just can't remember his name. I might have to do it via, who's this? Hold up. What's going on? John Molina Jr. John Molina Jr., you look at John Molina Jr.'s resume, and this motherfucker has gotten some fighters, man. And he ain't worth shit. The only thing John Molina Jr. ever did in his career was beat Mickey Bay. That's it, really. Juan Lascanzo is still fucking boxing. That's impossible. Who is this guy? This is John fucking Molina. Oh my god. I'm not talking about John Molina. John Molina, by the way, was a great fighter. I mean, a good fighter. Sorry, not great. It's also Molina. I didn't realize it. Somebody just said something. Oh yeah. Chris M says Horn wasn't necessarily fighting Pac on the inside, but bullied him in there, pushed him around, didn't give Pac the space he wanted. He smothered him, and he was fighting him on the inside mostly, not in your typical way. But there was rumors in 2012 that had Pacquiao beat Marquez,